morning. Good
All
morning.
right, so what do you think as Perry exits? Is he going to run for 2016?
I think there's little doubt that Rick Perry will announce that he's going to run for president in 2016. The shocker, there's been two shockers, is Bush announcing as quickly as he did, which has allowed him to raise upwards or close to $100 million that they expect him to raise this year in his presidential run, and that tied up a lot of senior Republican donors that really changed the field a little bit. But I don't think Rick Perry cares about that, and I think he's got his own private donors that he expects he'll be able to raise enough money, so he's going to run. The question is, as you look at the polls, there isn't a poll yet that has Rick Perry above 5%, and that all changes as time moves on, but we'll see what happens. Let me introduce our panel. I was down the hall and just ran. And as you can see how out of shape I am, Mustafa. Mustafa Tamiz, our political analyst, Jackie Valley, public policy analyst. Good morning.
Good morning.
Jackie, we'll start with you. I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to run for president. The question is as he delays and others announce, these Republican donors are going to start picking sides before he jumps in.
I'm excited about 2016 because the year before, especially, I'm excited about. You're going to see a lot of really good candidates, names that aren't even in the polls yet, like Ted Cruz. And so you have a lot of good people who are already in the polls, and then you have a lot of people who are still thinking about it. The governor has, after a couple of weeks, well, Tuesday, after Tuesday, that's his chance to start ramping up.
He's got some free time.
Yes, and and one of the good things about when you're running is people look at your background, they look at your history, and he can say that his legacy in Texas is one of the best. He's leaving us in very good hands. Longest serving governor ever. Very, very healthy economy. Our state was the envy of every other state during his time. So I think that that's going to come up. He's going to say, look, I have a strong policy. I know how to fix problems. I know how to create jobs. I know how to have a healthy economy. You're going to hear a lot about that.
And I expect that's what Rick Perry's been running for a year. There's no question about that. And I expect Jackie's right that his campaign is going to be, I want you to look at Texas and our economy and what we've done. But if we lose 100,000 jobs this year in the oil sector, can he still make that argument?
Well, facts have never bothered Rick Perry. I mean, he's going to make his argument what he wants to make his argument about, and I think you've said it, that voters are going to take a look at him. Last time they took a look at him, they didn't like very much what they had to say.
Well, they liked him initially, but then he couldn't debate. But he jumped in and went to the head of the pack.
Well, that's the thing. I think that when people closely look at Rick Perry, they scratch their hair and they go, I don't know why this guy has been a governor of Texas. But it's also going to get harder for him to raise money. As an incumbent governor, he's able to raise money, but when he's out of office, it's going to be much tougher for him to go out and raise money. There's other presidential candidates, not just Romney, but Jeb Bush and a number of other people. And the public's ready for fresh faces, and Rick Perry's not one of them.
All right, let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Okay, let's check in on Twitter first. Tim says, quoting Rick Perry on Obama not securing the border, maybe the president just wanted to give me a head start on doing federal duties. And then our own Mike Sullivan here, he says Governor Perry looks back and forward. He's clearly running for president. Can he win the primary? He's on Team Perry there. Well,
and that's the real issue, and you know, Iowa doesn't really matter. And I'm looking at an Iowa poll here, which puts Mitt Romney without even announcing, puts Mitt Romney at the lead and to win the Iowa caucuses coming up. But Iowa doesn't seem to matter anymore at the end of the day, Jackie. The last several presidents didn't win the Iowa caucuses for their own primaries.
Sure.
But I think Mustafa's raising some valid points here about Rick Perry. He's already done it. It was a disaster the first time. Can he overcome that disastrous first presidential run?
Sure. I mean, you have a lot of successful presidents who have failed in campaigns before becoming president. And the thing about his last presidential run, he got in there late. He had medical issues, back problems. He has spent the last year traveling, learning, catching up on policy and politics. Rick Perry is a very sharp politician. There's no doubt about that. That's why he's been our governor for so long. And you're going to see a different Rick Perry because he's had some time to reflect on what happened during his last campaign. He has a lot of good key aides and staffers around him. He does have a good influence, a large base of donors. You're going to see those come out. I think you're going to see a refreshed and a new Rick Perry, an energized Rick Perry.
Rick Perry did change the governor's office. office in Texas in his 12 years. When he was first appointed, people were saying he's just an interim, he's not going to last, and he vetoed 12 pieces of legislation as soon as the legislature got out of session, and really enhanced the power of what was a weak governor's office in Texas. He's going to be able to campaign on that, isn't he?
Well, it's going to be hard for him to campaign to say that I took this office, made it stronger through appointment and through insiders and through, you know, pay to play. I mean, that's the legacy of Rick Perry. He's accumulated his power because for every appointment he's made, he's got some kind of a campaign contribution for it, and that makes him, you know, a strong governor.
But he's
it
also,
doesn't make him a good leader.
But he's also been the one who appointed blacks for the first time to the bench, who appointed Hispanics, who appointed women to several key appointments, and that's something he's going to say too.
In 12 years, we'd have to do that. In 12 years,
Well,
we're going to leave
wouldn't
it.
have to.
All right, we got to
But
leave
he
it right
did.
there.
But that's not going to sell in the Republican primary.
We got to leave it right there. We'll be back in a little while with a really good topic.